Hey, what's going on, Black people? I hope you guys are having a good day. I'm gonna give you guys time to come into the chat. I want to say welcome to Dr. Boyce TV, the Black Man channel. This is the home for intelligent Black people. If you, if you're Black and intelligent, I want you to throw your hands up in the air, and I want you to shout out your city. Let us know what city you're coming from, because we love to have great conversations on this platform, and we love you very, very much. And we also want to say Merry Christmas Eve to everybody who's celebrating whatever holiday you're celebrating. We want to say happy holidays to everybody. So today, I get a chance to speak to my dear friend, respected colleague, Ms. Danielle Pierce. Danielle is the CEO and founder of economicelevation.com. That's economicelevation.com. And so Danielle, first of all, I want to ask my sister, how are you doing today?
I am doing pretty fabulous, if I have to say so myself. How are you doing, Dr. Boyce?
I'm doing really well, really well. And I see she ran herself fit is in here. Good morning, sister. Her name is Felicia. I remember her name because her name is the same as my grandmother's, and it rhymes with my fiance's name. I'm marrying Alicia on July 11th. Her name is Felicia. Yvette Harris, how are you? I see you and this sister from Milwaukee. Good to see you. Good to see you. All right, so let's hop into the conversation. First of all, I'm gonna ask everybody in the chat. Give me a yes or no if you're aware that Colin Kaepernick's new sneaker came out for Christmas, and that literally it became like the new Popeye's chicken, that literally people jumped and ran and bought every pair that they could get, and the thing sold out in minutes, that the shoes were gone in a matter of minutes. Give me a yes or no if you're aware of the new Kaepernicks and what happened with Nike and how much money. Nike just made a bag off of America, off the culture, off Black people, right? And it's okay. It's okay if you got the shoes. I'm not hating on you, but there's a little bit to talk about here. Oh yeah, I agree with you, Danielle. Danielle send me a little chat notes. I promise she ain't flirting or nothing. She's just a thinker. So she was sending me an idea. Yeah, okay. So I see a lot of yeses in here. All right. So and I see somebody said should have bought Nike stocks as Texas Prince. Well, let's talk about that a little bit. So first, I'm gonna ask my sister Danielle. Danielle, when you read about Kaepernick shoes, flying off the shelves like that, at about $170 to $200 a pop, which is not cheap for a shoe, right? But it's not overpriced. It's just $170 to $200. That's a little bit of money. What did you think about that?
Well, first of all, that is overpriced because I never spend that much money for gym shoes if I can help it. I've never spent that much money for a shoe in my entire life, but I just turned 40 this year. But as far as what I thought about the shoes flying off the shelves, I thought to myself, well played, Nike, well played. That's what I think. I think that they do a phenomenal job of marketing and capitalizing on the culture, capitalizing on popular movements, capitalizing on what's trending, and I think they do their thing. And I guess I'm not mad at it.
Okay, so I see we have a little investor hanging out with us today. Hey, what's her name? That's a pretty daughter.
That's Michaela. Michaela, she's a
all
queen
right.
of my makeup.
Okay, everybody say hi to Michaela. We got to support the kids. Sometimes when the kids come in when we're doing stuff, the temptations be like, get out of here, right? But we love the kids, and the kids represent the future. So when my kids pop in, I'm like, okay, come on, camera, here, say hi, right? Get your attention. Now go upstairs. Yeah, right. All right. So what do you guys think? I mean, do you feel? I want to talk a little bit about the angle some are taking that Nike has used the culture, that Nike is sort of saying it's taking this emotional attachment that people have to Kaepernick as an activist and saying, okay, let's go make a bag off this. Let's go profit from the activism. And what makes it interesting is the whole time, if you remember, Kaepernick basically criticized Jay-Z when he took the NFL deal. He criticized him for being a capitalist. Right. He shared some quote about how capitalists, exploit the people and things like that, which, by the way, I didn't agree with that quote because I think you can make money and not be a bad person. Right. But sometimes in that very left of Black space, there is a criticism of any Black person who makes money as a crook, as a thief, as a bad person. And I was a little bit worried because I said, Kaepernick, you got to be careful because you're making a lot of money right now. Kaepernick is making millions off the activism. So I'd like to give you guys a yes or no. Do you feel that Nike was being unethical in terms of how they utilized or exploited this emotional attachment people have to Kaepernick and his cause in order to make money? Yes or no? Do you feel that Nike did something wrong, or do you feel like it's okay, it's just business? Yes or no? Give me a yes or no. So I'm looking at the chat and see what your comments are. I'll give you guys a chance to respond. Hit the thumbs up button, by the way, if you haven't done this yet. Let's see. Okay, I see Kate says yes. All right. Yes or no? Do you feel that Nike was wrong? Do you feel that they exploited the culture a little bit? Okay, Lee Miller says yes. Wendy says Danielle is awesome. We are like sheep. Popeyes, now Nike. Okay, Active Dad's Rule said no. Ben E says no. Jibizzle says yes. Raymond says yes. Old School says yes. Ramona Blake, no. T Hill, no. And I see Giovanni says business is business. Okay, so Danielle, let me ask you, what do you think in terms of Nike's role in all of this? When I think we should separate Nike from Cap in our analysis. Let's talk about Nike. Do you feel like there's any sort of ethical issue here going on with Nike saying, okay, everybody loves Cap, he's a activist, we're gonna go make some money? What do you think?
So that's such a good question. And I feel like it kind of goes into the heart of, we can talk about Nike and Kaepernick and also just Black businesses and Black ownership and Black capitalism in general. So I do think that, I think that there's nothing wrong with being a capitalist. I think that hyper capitalism is a problem. And I think that hyper capitalism is kind of where Nike is at, along with a lot of the other, major corporations. Now, do I think that it's ethical? I mean, that's kind of a personal decision. I know for me, how I view myself in my companies and how I like to think that, I wouldn't operate exactly the way that Nike is. I do think that for me, it's a little bit, unethical. But in terms of, America and history of Nike and the history of these Fortune 500 corporations or the Fortune 50, I can't really say that it's not ethical. I think that it's just par for the course. I think that that's what they do. I think it's what they've always done. I think they're just getting better and better and better at it. And I think that with the rise of social media, I think that it's so easy for them to do. You know what I mean? Like Nike, they see what's trending, just like we do. We see what's trending. What are people talking about it? Like, well, shit, how can we merge the two and capitalize on popular culture? And I think they do an outstanding job of it. It reminds me of the story with the girl behind Popeye's Chicken, the social media thing, and how they got all this free social media advertising, like $23 million worth of ad space, and there was basically a sister behind it, a very young girl, by the way, I shouldn't think, a very young lady, by the way. And I feel like it's kind of a similar space. And it's like, okay, Popeyes is making all this money, but how much money is funneling down to her? And then the same with Nike. Nike is making all this money from, Black people, Black culture, Black politics, Black, everything. But how much are they really doing for the community? And I would say that it's probably very little. Now, they may throw some $1 million here, $1 million there. They may do things like that. But in the grand scheme of things, what's a couple $1 million to a company like Nike, Dr. Boyce? I mean,
Okay, everybody, in case you just came in, I'm speaking with Danielle Pierce from economicelevation.com, and we're talking about Colin Kaepernick's new shoe. I don't know if it's called Air Kaepernick or whatever, but whatever it's called.
What it's called.
Yeah, I don't know what it's called either. But the new shoe came out and it's sold out in minutes. Hit the thumbs up button if you haven't done that. Please, you guys know our Black Power exercise. On the count of three, everybody hit the thumbs up button, the subscribe button, and the notification bell, and type Black Power in the chat to let us know you did it. 1, 2, 3, thumbs up. Everybody hit the thumbs up button, hit the notification bell, subscribe button, and type Black Power in the chat to let us know that you did it. Please do that because that supports Black media and allows us to grow. Now, here's what I hear what you're saying. I think that the question becomes, not so much is it okay to make money in business? Is it okay to make a profit? I'm a believer that it is okay to make a profit. I believe it's okay for Kaepernick to make money. I want Kaepernick to make $1 billion. One more billionaire ain't gonna change a thing in my mind. I like the idea of a Black man becoming wealthy, but I think that there does become a question of social responsibility in terms of saying, okay, when this money comes in, when Black folks go out and white folks too, but a lot of Black people drive economic engines. We go out and we spend like crazy. Studies show we consume more than most people do. So when we're serving as the economic engine that is allowing Disney to go make a bag of money every time they put out a Black Panther movie to the tune of about $1 billion from the Black community, or Nike can go make a bag when they put out a Kaepernick shoe. What does that do for the community at large? Like how much of that money is being reinvested back into Black infrastructure to allow us to achieve our goals? So for example, this year, Alicia and I are creating the Dr. Boyce and Alicia Watkins Foundation at our wedding. Just so you know, everybody's invited to our wedding, but we don't want gifts. We really want you to support the foundation because one of the things we want to support is the creation of independent Black schools. I'm tired of racist white people educating Black kids. I'm tired of our kids going to school getting beat up, being being dumbed down, being screwed over. I want our kids to be educated in schools that are run by us. We have the ability, we have the resources to have our own school system. But I'll tell you, as a financial expert, it bothers me that every time somebody tells me that Black people don't have enough money to build a school, you'll see that Black people have enough money to go put another $100 million in the bank account of Popeye's chicken, or we have another 50 million to put in the bank account of Nike, maybe a quarter of a billion. We have another $1 billion to put in the bank account of Disney because they made a damn movie. So I'm not saying you shouldn't go to the movies. I'm not saying you shouldn't buy shoes and you shouldn't buy chicken, but it's a matter of priorities being flipped. We can't go buy the chicken and the shoes and the movie tickets and then turn around and say we can't afford the schools and the investments and all the things that are going to develop infrastructure for our community. Does everybody get what I'm saying? Give me a yes or no if you understand what I'm saying, right? And so I think with the Nike, that's my question. Like, what are you doing to support the infrastructure of Black people? What are you doing for Black people other than sucking money out like a vacuum cleaner? Danielle, what are your thoughts?
I don't think that they're doing anything besides sucking money out like a vacuum cleaner. But to your point about, people buying like Popeye's chicken and Nikes and things like that, I've been thinking about this. And so what I honestly think is that people in general, we tend to think that the little bit that we're able to contribute is not enough to make a difference. And so because we may feel like, oh, it costs, hundreds of thousands of dollars to start a school, or I need millions of dollars to do this, and I don't have millions of dollars, I don't have thousands of dollars, so it doesn't matter. I think that's kind of what all of us think collectively. And as a result, so many of us don't do anything. I did find a Black school down here. I actually love for you to interview them on your channel like you did with Marcus Klein and FHA. It's called Legion Prep Academy, and they are 20-year educators in Texas. And like what you said about the public school system, they got tired of, the public school system and how it works pretty much all around the country. And they started their own school. And as of course, like when I was in Chicago, if I send my children to any school, it will only be that type of school if I can help it. And it really doesn't cost that much money. I do think I want to stress that every little amount helps. You don't need thousands and millions of dollars. You just need a bunch. You just need 3 to 5 people that have a collective goal and are determined and focused to make something happen, and then it'll make a difference. Like even with the smaller schools, like the one my children go to, like $1,000 or $2,000, like it matters. And so I think that we have to get away from the mindset that we need all this money to do all these things and start thinking back, okay, well, Nike don't need my $200, right? That's for sure. Like we can debate about how much money you need to do other things, but Nike don't need my $200. Popeyes don't need my, $20 or $10 for their meals. Like they don't need that money. They are good, for generations, like the next 4 or 5 generations. Whereas we are barely we can't even manage the current generation that we have. So that's my take on that.
Well, what I will say is that sorry, my computer's talking. I had a story up and my computer was talking, so I'm gonna get off their website. But the thing that's interesting to me is when you go and you actually look at I think mindset is huge when you talk about the wealth problem for Black people. We talk a lot. Give me a yes or no, guys, if you're aware of that study that says that Black wealth is expected to drop to 0 by the year 2053. Yes or no, if you're aware of that study. Danielle, you're aware of that study, right? That says median Black wealth will drop to 0 by 2053. And everybody talks about this as if there's nothing you can do about it. It's really weird. It's like watching a train crash in slow motion and the trains are 20 miles apart. And you don't realize that you can actually get off that train. You just sit there and you're just waiting for the crash to happen. And so what I want people to do is every time somebody mentions that statistic and says, woe is us, it's terrible being Black, I want you to think about how every time Nike puts out a Kaepernick shoe, we give them hundreds of millions of dollars. I want you, every time somebody tells you about Black wealth going to 0, I want you to think about the fact that every time Popeye's chicken, releases an upgrade to their sandwich, we go and we're the first ones to get in line, right? When people talk about Black wealth being low and Black people have no wealth, I want you to think about that every time Disney puts out a Black Panther movie and they announce that they broke a new record and made $1.2 billion in a week, right? I want you to realize that, that money is not in your pocket when it's leaking out of your pocket. When you're taking money out of your pocket, there's going to be less money in your pocket. So when we're taking money out of the community, there's going to be less money in the community, right? So, and if you're headed to the state of emergency where Black wealth is going to completely disappear, then you probably should hold on to your money. I mean, think about this. Imagine if somebody told you that in 2 weeks, your bank account You got $10,000 in your bank account now, but in 2 weeks, it's going to drop to zero. Well, what are you going to do? Are you going to keep on going to the club, popping bottles and throwing money away, loaning money to cousins that ain't never going to pay you back, going out and buying things you don't need? Or are you going to hold on to your money? Right? So I say to Black people, we need to hold on to our money. And I'm not saying you shouldn't go buy Nike sneakers. I'm saying you got to invest before you go out and waste your money. It's about priorities, right? I have Nike shoes. I buy chicken sandwiches. I go to the movies. Right? So I'm not sitting here trying to tell you not to do those things. That's one thing I want to make. I always have to make that clear, Danielle, because people think that I believe you got to be a Spartan, miser, Uncle Scrooge type person. No. So that Christmas tree upstairs has at least a couple grand worth of gifts right underneath it, right? In terms of all the stuff we bought them damn kids, spoiled as hell. But make no mistake about it. Along with the gifts, there are, shares of stock that we bought for the kids too, right? Along with the gifts, there are continuous lessons on financial literacy and economic intelligence that we push in the household. Along with the gifts, there's a clear understanding and a reminder that you do that after you handle your business. Danielle, what are your thoughts?
I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because one of my Facebook friends, she's actually an entrepreneur as well. She had made a comment last night, and she said that parents, there's this huge push to push children to be entrepreneurs, and parents got to stop pushing their children to start businesses before they're ready and let kids be kids, and it's gotten out of hand. And I was just like, well, this is interesting, because for one, I don't think that there is a huge push and that it's gotten out of hand, because most of America is comprised of employees. But two, let's just say that there is a push. I'm one of the parents who pushes that, and it's not pushing in a way like, oh, you're going to start a business or else. It's more so like they've never seen me do anything else. They don't know any other type of life. They've never seen me go punch in anywhere. Their whole lives. I mean, my children are still young, they're 8, 7, and 5. So with that being their environment, they can't help but follow that same path. But I just thought it was interesting that people will speak out against the push for entrepreneurship, but by the time your child is 5, 6, 7 years old, they're already being indoctrinated into the idea of going to work for somebody else. If they're going to public school, they're like, oh, what career do you want to do? Who do you want to work for? What do you want to be when you grow up? Like, it starts very, very early. So to your point, I just flipped the script. Instead of asking those questions, what business do you want to own? Oh, you want to be a football player? Oh, well, how about the people who own the football teams? That's who makes the most money. So I just have those conversations early. And I definitely don't think it's ever like 7 years old is perfect. Like, actually, I mean, my youngest is 5. Like, to the extent that they can understand and they can navigate Roblox, they can navigate my phone, they can come on my YouTube videos and be like, be sure to like, subscribe, and share the video. Like, if they can pick that up, they can pick up anything else as well. So I'm a huge fan of entrepreneurship at a young age. And I think that the answer to the solution of the negative or zero net worth by 2053, I think it's entrepreneurship all day.
Well, everybody, in case you just came in, I'm speaking with Danielle Pierce. We're talking about Kaepernick shoes selling out in a matter of minutes. Her website is economicelevation.com. That's economicelevation.com. Also, make sure you hit the like button, share, and subscribe button. Hit the like button right now if you can, please. Also, subscribe. And if you want to get text notifications when we go live, text the word Boyce, Boyce, to 31996. Text Boyce to 31996. And every now and then I'll shoot you guys a text message to let you know that we're live. So I'm going to ask you guys some yes or no questions. I'd like for you to answer these questions for me, please. If you have a 7-year-old and the 7-year-old says, I want to be a good dancer. I want to be a dancer. I want to dance like Beyonce when I grow up. Do you think that there are parents that will send their kids to dance class or cheerleading camp or whatever, right? Are there parents out there that will send their child to dance class? Because I saw one of those shows where the moms were all fighting because their daughters were in the dance teams. You know, those shows where they like to get Black people together and make us look crazy. So yes or no? If your daughter says, I want to be a dancer, do you send her to dance class? I got a little girl. She goes to dance class. What do you think? Let me ask you another yes or no question. Give me a yes or no. If your son is 7 years old and wants to be a football player, are there 7-year-olds out here in our community who go to football practice? Yes or no? Do we have 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds, 10-year-olds who go to football practice at an early age?
And
yes or no?
Dr. Boyce, for football, it's 2 hours a day, 4 or 5 days a week for 7-year-olds for football practice.
Bingo. one more very leading question. This is really almost rhetorical because you know the answer. Yes or no? If there are little black boys who see LeBron on TV and want to be basketball players and they're tall for their age, do they go to basketball practice? Does somebody send our little boys to basketball practice? Are there a lot of little black boys out here that go to basketball camp every summer, go to basketball practice every day? Yes or no? Yes. So the reason I'm asking these questions is because sometimes it's the simple stuff that leads to the deep solutions. Why is it that we are perfectly fine and completely indoctrinated to this idea that we will send our kids to dance practice, we will send them to football practice every day, we will send them to basketball practice every day, but we don't send them to practice on how to make money, how to be economically free, how to not be a white man's slave when they grow up? Why is it such a foreign idea for us to give our children economic practice to prepare for global competitive economic warfare as an adult, when we will spend all of our money, our last dollars? You know what I'm talking about, Danielle. You got those parents that will spend their last sending their child to basketball, football camp, but won't spend a nickel sending them to entrepreneurship camp. Which is going to affect your child's life more when he's 28 years old? The fact that he played football at 7 years old, the fact that he knows how to create a job for himself when he's got children to take care of and he's economically stuck and frustrated because a white man won't give him a job.
Yeah.
Seriously, I mean, you could do both. Both is absolutely fine. I played sports when I was a kid, but I'm gonna tell you, I ain't played sports since I was 18 years old. But I've been playing the economic game every day of my life, and I will probably play it until the day I die. So if you want to tell me which game you want to prepare me for as my parents, which game is more important? Well, the economic game is life or death. Football is what I watch on Sundays and other people are playing. I don't even care who wins the game. But the economic game, if I don't win that motherfucker, I get my ass kicked. That I lose my family. I could lose my freedom. I could lose my life. There are black men every year, and women too, who lose their lives because they're ill-equipped to play the economic game. I mean, seriously, think about how many young ladies out here are selling their body to pay the rent for their kids because they don't know any other way to make money. Think about how many brothers out here hustling in the street, toting the gun, doing illegal things in order to make money because nobody ever sent them to economic training camp, right? Mm-hmm. So your kids are not prepared because you're not preparing them. Mm-hmm. You're preparing them for all the wrong things. I don't know too many 29-year-olds who are able to feed their family by dribbling a basketball. That does not happen very often. But I know a lot of brothers and sisters as well who are taking care of their family because they know how to make money. So every child, in my opinion, every child in our community should take some class somewhere that basically is focused on, here are all the different ways to make money. What do you think, Danielle?
Man, these conversations can get very, very heated. I typically avoid them like on my social media because people, often will take offense because lots of parents tend to do the first set of scenarios that you suggested. And then when we start talking about things like, oh, my child goes to, coding, or they're going to learn how to start a business, that's when people immediately default to, oh, we should let kids be kids, though we don't need to force them to be adults. We should, just let them just have fun and be happy. But at the end of the day, like you said, I know way more. I see every day in like the various groups I'm in on social media where there are grown people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and even 60s who are literally, Dr. Boyce, they are stuck in life right now because they cannot figure out how to navigate the new as far as the technology. They can't figure out how to make money without somebody paying them. They can't figure out how to bring in any type of or sustain their household without somebody cutting them. Okay, tell your dad, without somebody cutting them a check. They can't figure out how to navigate life without somebody saying, hey, you come work for me for 8 hours, I'll pay you X amount of dollars for this amount of time, and here's your check every 2 weeks. And it's sad to see because a lot of times we don't, I don't know what the solution is for some of us. You know what I mean? It's like some of us are so far behind and the technology has gotten so far advanced that there's literally no way to navigate it. So yeah, those are my thoughts on that. But I definitely am a fan of entrepreneurship at an early age. And then, as far as the parents who think that, these are, let kids be kids, I think that children will pick up whatever we put down. That's what I really think. I think children pick up whatever we put down. And I think to the extent that we shift the narrative, then we change the future.
By the way, everybody, this is Miss Danielle Pierce. Her website is economicelevation.com. She also teaches a lot of financial literacy and things like that. She's an expert on real estate. Feel free to go to economicelevation.com if you'd like to get to know more about what she's doing. We're talking about Kaepernick shoes selling out in a matter of minutes. And also make sure you hit the thumbs up button and subscribe. We have a Black Financial channel. That's theblackfinancialchannel.com. THE, that's theblackfinancialchannel.com. Make sure you subscribe because we actually cover financial topics and commentary from a Black perspective. And so, Danielle, one of the things I think that we have to work on. Okay, your deliveries. Okay, all right. So Danielle's got a delivery here. So I'm going to actually give a little thought while Danielle goes and gets her delivery. Here's one thing I want to lay out to you guys, and I want you guys to consider this. I think that one of the challenges that our community has is that we have an addiction to victimhood. I think that that being a victim, always being a victim, and never seeing yourself as anything other than a victim, allows you to be lazy. It allows you to avoid the hard work necessary to not be a victim anymore. It actually makes me think about just the other day. I got, I guess I got some clap back from Lizzo, the singer. Lizzo, she's really big and she likes to twerk a lot and show her ass at Lakers games and stuff. And so Lizzo got upset because I basically made a clear point that a lot of people understood and agree with, that Lizzo's success is driven by the obesity epidemic in America. That we have a lot of people, and myself included, because I used to be way overweight. Y'all know about my journey. Y'all saw me go out there and run a marathon and all sorts of stuff because I was determined to lose weight. But a lot of us, rather than doing the work to improve ourselves, would rather just assume that there's nothing that we can do, that we're just victims of our circumstances, that things are just the way they are, and there's no opportunity to change and change, evolve, and grow. And so what effectively ends up happening is that, out of this culture of victimhood that we see in our community and among others, this culture of victimhood, basically, we get to this point where when somebody comes along and says, well, you don't have to be a victim anymore. You can actually be empowered to improve your condition. Black people are not inherently broke. Black people actually do have opportunities. There are people that resist that. There are people that say, no, we don't have opportunities. We really are broke. And you say, no, actually, Black people have, if Black people were a country, our 1.3 trillion would make us about the 10th or 12th richest country on earth, or 15th or something like that, right? No. We don't have any opportunities. Well, actually, studies show that African Americans in America are among the richest human beings on the planet, that you're in the 1% in terms of global wealth and opportunity. And no, there's no solutions out here. We can't do any better. But well, the reason that people are so resistant to solutions, like to the point where they'll get mad at you for proposing a solution, is because there is an indoctrination into victimhood. You are trained at an early age to see yourself as a victim of your situation, as a person who can't make it better, as a person who has no way out. And then what that does is actually that makes you a white supremacist. That you become a white supremacist. And let me tell you why that makes you a white supremacist, Danielle. When you are indoctrinated into victimhood, and you've allowed that white school that you went to teach you that being Black is a curse and that there's nothing you can do to improve your situation, and that all you can do is wait for the Democratic Party to come along and save you, then you're white supremacist, because you're going to stop doing the work to improve your own life. And instead, you're going to assume the role of the victim, claim that so-called moral high ground of saying, look at how the world is kicking me in my ass, and basically spend your life waiting for a white person to make your life better. You're waiting for a corporation to come along and give you more jobs. You're waiting for a political party to come along and provide solutions. You're waiting for other people to change their behavior instead of evolving your own choices yourself. So I believe, that's my theory, Daniel. I believe that really claiming the mantle of victimhood and having that drilled in us at an early age, it makes you a white supremacist, because then you just sit there and say, okay, I'm waiting for somebody to make my life better. And I think that's the worst thing you can do to a human being. The absolute worst thing you can do to a human being. What do you think, Danielle?
I thought you were going to take the angle that it makes you a white supremacist because it forces you to look at other Black people who haven't made it and say things like, oh, all you got to do is go to college like I did. All you got to do is do what I did to be successful. And, y'all ain't doing that. So, y'all not as good as I am. And so therefore I'm leaving, leaving the hood. I'm leaving this. and I'm moving over here, because how people always say things like, oh, y'all black folks can't do X, Y, Z, black folks can't do this, can't do that. So I thought you were going to take that narrative. I'm not sure about the idea that it makes you white supremacist because it makes you sit around and be a victim. I mean, I have to think about that a little bit more, but I know for sure I do know more black people who fit into my first description who are like, oh, y'all ain't made it. Well, that's because y'all lazy. That's because y'all trifling. That's because y'all not as smart as I am. Just look what I did and follow my path. I know more people who think that way though.
Interesting. I think that's a good point too. That I think the only reason I wouldn't take that particular angle, because I agree with you that elitism is not healthy. The only reason I'm not taking that angle is because most of the people that I see complaining the most about their situation, a lot of them are actually college graduates. The people dying that are expected to die with negative net worth, in many cases, actually are the people that went to college and went $100,000 in debt, and knowing they ain't never gonna pay that $100,000 back. Like seriously, I mean, in fact, I'd be curious to see if there's a study that shows who's more likely to die with a negative net worth: the person who went to college and got this much in student loans but is making this much in salary, or the person who never went to college who learned to start a business, who didn't go deep in debt. Maybe their income's not high, but their debt isn't high either. See, people think that financial freedom means making a lot of money. That's not true. Financial freedom basically means that you're able to live, below your means and actually get to the point where money is not a factor in terms of stopping you from doing the things you want to do in your life. So in a way, net worth is like winning a basketball game. Like if you ask a player, how do you win? How many points do you need to win a basketball game? Well, is there a number that you have to score to win the game? No, you just have to score more points than the opposition, right? You have to score more points than the defense. So debt is like the opposition, right? And your wealth, your assets are the points that you score, right? So if I have $10,000 in assets and zero debt, I'm better off than the person who has $1 million in assets and $2 million in debt, right? I won the game, they lost the game. So I think that's important for people to understand. What are your thoughts, Danielle?
I'm so glad that we're having this conversation because it man, it's so on point. So I definitely agree that it's not a question of how you do it or a numbers game. It's a question of how free are you, and I definitely think that makes you a slave. And it's weird. I was at a conference, National Association of Female Executives in New York earlier this year. I got an award for being a rising star, so I'm happy about that. But I met the most.
Everybody, I'm gonna stop you because I need everybody to just give the sister a round of applause. Like we're cheering for Lizzo because she can twerk and play the flute at the same time. If we're gonna cheer for that, we need to cheer for the intelligent Black women in the building who are out here kicking ass and taking names. And I don't know if Danielle can play the flute, and I don't know if she can twerk, and she'll probably never tell me, and I'll never ask. But I want to make sure we just stop for a moment and give a round of applause for what real Black excellence looks like. Danielle, we are very proud of you. We think you are totally awesome. And I just want to stop for a minute. I interrupted you very rudely. I apologize. I interrupted you because I want to make sure we're clapping for the right women, not just the women who can clap their ass. Okay. So go ahead, Danielle. Please continue.
Thank you for that, Dr. Boyce. Thank you guys. But I met the most brilliant women at this conference, Dr. Boyce, like literally from like corporate executives, C-suite executives, like they were just amazing and phenomenal. And you know what I experienced? At first, it was a little bit like, well, damn, how did I get here? Like, this is a little bit, these women are kind of, I don't even want to say out of my league, but it was a little bit uncomfortable. But it didn't last long because I'm never the person to kind of hate from people that I could be learning from. So I just kind of adjusted and I'm, started networking and interacting. And what I found, Dr. Boyce, is that little bit of envy that I was having at the beginning, they were having that with when they found out that I've been an entrepreneur for 13 years. And it was this weird, like, epiphany, like, holy shit, like, they are doing what they're doing and they're killing it, but they had no clue how to do they don't know how to build that environment for themselves. So I was talking to my friend about it and he said that, Danielle, you could write your ticket and working with these women because they inherently know that stepping into a role in a corporation that's already been built for a company that's been around for hundreds of years is worlds apart from building it yourself, bringing in your own money, hiring your own team, building up your own employee base. And I was just like, you know what? You sure the hell is right. Like it's like women, they're so educated, make so much money, have so much value in these corporations, but they cannot navigate and do like start their own business and build that up. Like that was just like the scariest thing in the world for them. And I was just like, oh my God. Like we
Mhm.
are really doing a job on, on America, because these women should be like easily able to adapt to entrepreneurship. But it was just like this, it was like a world, an ocean between the two, and they just couldn't see themselves being able to do it.
Well, in a way, a lot of times we educated Negroes that go and get jobs working for white folks, we become almost like domesticated house cats, that can't survive in the wild on their own, or like animals in the zoo, like seriously, like think about an animal in the zoo, right? A lion that sits in the zoo, he's going to eat better than the other lions. He's going to be cleaner. He's going to be prettier because somebody's, combing his mane and everything else. And he's going to feel that he's better off than the old dusty ass, dirty ass lion that's out in the woods having to actually go kill for his food. Right. Right. But what he doesn't understand though is that the only reason he gets to eat is because the zookeeper is throwing a piece of meat into the cage every day. If you take that lion out of the zoo and you put him out in the woods and you say, okay, now go out here and survive, he won't survive. He'll die because he don't because he's fat. He's fat and slow. He don't know how to fight for nothing. He's mentally weak, and he only knows how to eat. He doesn't know how to hunt for food. All he knows how to do is sit back and wait for the zookeeper to throw a piece of meat into the cage. And so and
Dr.
if
Boyce,
I
let me no, I was just going to interrupt you real quick to say you have a hell of a way of putting things and saying things, and I see why people are always pissed off and mad when you be talking, because, like, literally, I think I just said the same thing, but in a much nicer way. You were just like, "Nah, fuck that." This is like the
well, here's the thing, right? When I say this, I'm not making fun of anybody because I'm really making fun of myself. I'm making fun of myself because when I was teaching at Syracuse University, one interesting realization I had to come to when I started getting mad at the white folks who paid my bills is I said, "Damn, I don't even know how to survive without them taking care of me, without them giving me a job. There's money out here. White guys start businesses and make lots of money. I don't know how to do that. And I'm supposed to be a financial expert, but all I've ever learned is how to wait for my paycheck." And I said, no, I got to change that. You got to fix that. So, and I think it's really important for Black people to know that because that's what independence looks like. That's what freedom looks like, right? It doesn't mean that you can't go choose to work for somebody else, but there's a difference between working for other people because you want to versus working for other people because you have to. And so a lot of those executives, we good at looking clean and like I got my Harvard MBA and I've gotten some fancy title that validates me and whatever. But the unfortunate reality of that is that you're living in the matrix when you do that, in the sense that you've got these fancy titles and you become this character that was created and controlled by somebody else. And it's almost like a movie. If you're a character in a movie, they can kill off your character at any point in time. So everything the white man giveth, he can also taketh away. Everything, every point of validation, every award, every raise, promotion, job title that you're given by this system, the system can easily take it away if you run afoul of that system. So, given that we claim to be people who fight against white supremacy, I don't really know how you can truly fight white supremacy and be consistently rewarded by a white supremacist system. I'm sure it's doable, like almost like in a double agent kind of capacity, maybe. But most of the time, especially if you're vocal, like talking the way I talk, it doesn't even make any sense for a white man to want to hire me. I wouldn't hire me if I was a white man because we're in a competition. And that's what it is. The LA Lakers will never want to give the ball to the Golden State Warriors. They'll never want to help them score points, right? Because you're competing with each other. So I think Black people have to understand that we're in a competition. And in order to compete, we must prepare our children to compete. They are our little soldiers. And when you throw these children out into a competitive economic system and they aren't ready, they can't read, can't write, can't do math, can't do business, but they all know how to twerk and play football. Well, who you think's gonna get their ass kicked? Who's gonna come in last place in the economic competition when you ain't never had no training in economics? So that's my 2 cents. Daniel, I'll let you get the last word before we close.
um I don't really have anything to add to that. I definitely think that for the time, and I know I'm probably gonna catch some flack for this, so I'm gonna say it anyway. I think that if we can devote, let's say, 8 to 10 hours a week for our, 7, 8, 9 year olds to go to learn basketball or football or dance, if you took that 10 hours and put that into, I don't know, business building, entrepreneurship, leadership, any of those things, I think the returns would be exponential. I think they're much more guaranteed versus, just trying to get to the NFL or the NBA. And I think that we could shift things in, like, I don't know, 20, 30 years or something like that. I think it would just take a fraction of the time that we think that it'll take, because our focus would be very different. But I also know that, having those conversations with parents, they often go awry. It tends to be very painful, tends to be very confrontational, because it's almost like you're telling people that they're raising their children wrong. And I never want to say that anyone's raising their children wrong. I think we're all doing the best that we can with what we have. But I know for a fact that if you teach your children how to fish, they'll never end up in the situation that so many of my generation is in, where they can't figure out how to do anything without somebody telling them, hey, here's a job, here's how much money you're going to make, and if you want to do anything besides that, like, you can't, we need to get our children unstuck from an early age so that they don't continue to repeat the same cycle. The last thing I'll say is that, we talk about the millennials wanting things faster and quicker and wanting more money. And I say, the reason why they're like that is because they looked at my generation, your generation as well, and they saw us work for 20, 30 years. They saw 40 years sometimes. They saw us, put in all this work every day for decades and end up with not having nothing to show for it. And I mean absolutely just fucking nothing for so many of us. Now, some people did well and have some things to show for it, but collectively, a lot of us have worked for 30 years and don't have anything. And we can't even look forward to Social Security because that's such a small amount of money that might be going to as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I agree. So I want to say thank you, Danielle, for hanging out with me today. I appreciate it. Everybody, Danielle's website, if you want to learn from Danielle, it's economicelevation.com. That's economicelevation.com. And if you are interested in training your kids, we have a Black Business School for Children at blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. That's blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. On your way out the door, please hit the thumbs up button, share, and subscribe button. Please give Danielle a digital round of applause and a thank you for coming in and giving us a truth that that you can accept it or you can reject it. It's okay. If this, if whatever they're telling you is working for you, then this is great. This is not for you. But if you're looking for another solution, you're gonna have to come back to your community, come back to your core, and we share these things because we love you. So thank you guys for your support and being here and hanging out with us today. And thank you again, Danielle. I appreciate it. And happy holidays to everybody, including Lizzo. If y'all want to hear what I had to say about Lizzo, go to drboycetv.com and I give the truth. My battle is not with Lizzo. It is not with Lizzo. I do not want to fight a big girl, but my battle is with white supremacy, and my battle is what Lizzo represents. So I want to make that clear too. All right, guys. So take care. Have a good day, and I'll see you soon. Thank you.
Happy holidays. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.